Awesome, guys. So, welcome to our Tuesday call, our Cash Flow Empire Tuesday call. And we have an amazing guest today, Adrian. How are you, Adrian, man? How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, Jonathan. Thanks so much for having me here. Everyone, thank you for taking a time out of your Tuesday evening to hop on this call. So my goal is to give you something you can take away, at least one thing. So I'm very excited to be here, and I look forward to meeting each and every one of you.
Absolutely. And actually, we met Adrian through a networking event, right? So I know that Adrian, if you guys don't know, he's the marketing manager for the Cash Flow portal.
Hmm.
So basically, he's gonna be deep in a little bit about what is this platform about and why that is he's helping the people to navigate through the process of investing. But let's go really quick, Adrian. If you can share really quick who you are and how do you get involved in the real estate business?
Yeah. So I grew up in the Philippines, and growing up in the Philippines, my family wasn't really that. Let's say we're not even middle class. How about that? That's the safest way to say it. But even then, I knew that there was something better for me. I came across this book. I think Brenda brought up the guy who made that game. So Robert Kiyosaki. I went to the library and I saw the book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I look at my wallet. It just so happens the amount of money I have was the exact price for the book. So I bought it. I had nothing else to do. I have nothing left in my wallet. I read the book, but it was the best thing I've ever read because now I knew that I was in nursing school at the time, and I knew that uh, a job is not the way to move forward in life. So I didn't know what the answer was yet, but I knew it's not about the job. So moving forward, came to the United States. I joined the army because they had a program then where if you joined, you get citizenship, and then moving forward. So while I was in, I refreshed. I read a lot of ways to make money, stocks, starting business, and all that. And it always there's a common denominator for a lot of people, the prominent people, which is in real estate. So uh, that's how I discovered real estate, making money in real estate. I started out buying smaller multifamilies. I still own them today, a duplex and a fourplex. That was in Killeen, Texas. And then after a while, just I'm like, man, I would need a lot more transactions to get to that magic number, right? All of us wants that cash flow, passive income, freedom, financial freedom. And then just one day I was at Bigger Pockets. I'm sure a lot of people here started also or researching in Bigger Pockets. And then I read a comment in the forum, someone talking about apartments. Now, prior to seeing that, I thought only banks and institutions can buy apartments. Like a group of guys, like a bunch of us here would never. It never occurred to me that we could just buy an apartment. So I clicked on their forum. I read their conversation, and they're talking about buying apartments. So I'm like, oh, wait, let's look into this. So I did a little bit more research, looked into more topics, just multifamily, and it just, you know, the nail in the head there, where in order for me to get 80 units, I would have to buy 24 plexes. So that's 20 different loans, 20 different insurance policies, 20 different roofs to manage and all that. And everything is scattered, right? But you can buy one 80 unit, that's one roof, and then one loan, one insurance policy. Easy, right? And it gets easier as you scale. So it's a no-brainer. It's in line with my goals. And moving forward, yeah, I wanted to do it the right way. Got into a mentorship program, which is, by the way, the single best thing I did in this industry, because we'll dive deeper into it in this call. But anything that you feel like is a roadblock or a wall can easily be demolished by a person. Instead of asking yourself, how do I get this or how do I acquire that? Just say, who do I know that is good at that, and what it'll take for me and him or her to partner up. So yeah, long answer, but that's how I came into real estate, Jonathan.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So, can you tell us more about your journey from? I know that your background in nursing and the military,
Hmm.
actually to become the marketing manager for Cashflow Portal and also your real estate investor.
Yeah. So while I was in the army, well, I was slowly transitioning out. I already knew that I was going to leave, so I already filed my paperwork to leave the army. I was already part of a community, and one of their it's a student only event, and it just so happens we were doing a bus tour where we tour properties. We can speak to the property managers, see how it's updated and all that. I happened to sit beside a gentleman, very very intelligent guy, and I've ran into him several times already in a couple of those boot camps. And he asked me like, hey, what are your plans when you leave the army? And then I said, well, I wanted to do this full time. I set aside enough money to, last me a year. Let's see how this works. And this guy his name is Perry Zhang, and he's the CEO and founder of Casual Portal. So the company that I work now. He says, why don't you work for me part-time as my marketing manager so you can still do your deals as a general partner? I'm like, that's a win-win, because the only time, so I said, I will do this for a year straight, full-time, not even get another job, burn the boats kind of mentality, right? But if I get to a point where I need a way to sustain myself, put food in the table and turn the lights on, I will only do it on a job where my efforts is in line with real estate. So it has to be real estate related, either banking, broker, whatever reason. Well, it just so happens the guy who introduced me to the opportunity works both ways, because now I can speak to LPs and GPs alike. So, it's in line, and everything, became history.
Man, I love that. I love that. So as the marketing manager for a cash flow portal, I bet you must have a lot of interaction with a lot of people, right? So how do you approach building and maintaining professional relationship with these people for future collaboration, especially in your business?
Yeah. I'll just say what not to do first. The goal is not to get as many business cards. That's the wrong answer. That's how I approached it in my first early years. Like I should have grabbed it, but I have a stack of like boxes of like business cards from just like last year, and I can go to one conference and get like 20 plus business cards, because I thought the goal was to get as many as possible. But now I realize where to be professional or to get a really valuable relationship, step one is be strategic. So for folks here who's about to attend at ConnectCon, think of, what is my current position? What do I have? Take inventory of what you have, skill set wise, financial wise, and then approaching that conference, say, what do I need to move forward? What is blocking me, and who do I need to meet in that conference? So you're being intentional of going for a conference, because you're paying for a ticket, you're paying for a hotel for those who are not local, right? The hotel, the plane, and the event ticket. So that's a cost. It's only a waste if you don't have a purpose for going. So step one, know what was your intention. So I spoke with Perry, and I get like, what is the company's goal for attending these? He told me what's the goal, and I put two and two together. We're like, wait a minute. This is a long game, ladies and gentlemen. This is not like flipping. This is not like residential where transactions go really, really fast. You can meet someone many months ago, and then later when a deal comes, that's maybe 6-8 months down the road, even years, they will think about you and say, wait, I remember the transaction with this conversation with this guy or gal, and I really, really trusted them. And then they will hit you up, because especially right now, deals aren't that prominent, right? But time is not wasted, because you can always build relationship. This is actually the prime time to build relationships. So when the time comes when deals happen, there's not this screening and finding a team now. You already have a team. You already know who you're going to do the deal with. So come with a purpose. That's step one. Step two, I'm a victim of this, and I feel ashamed for I'm doing it. So now I'm going to share it with people, where when I have a conversation with people, sometimes in my mind, I say, how do I end this conversation? Because I need to talk to more people. And that's the wrong mentality, because when I switch it to saying, depending on the size of the audience and the conference, I would say, I only need 5 great conversations. I don't need to have 20 or 25 or 30. I need to talk to 5, or if it's bigger, maybe like 8, 7. I need to talk to people where we really resonated. Like we're up to the level where we're talking about hobbies. I was wondering now where their family or what they did for vacation and all that. And there were like every time, you know, you have a break time where you have dinner and lunch, they will always look for you like, hey, Adrian, you know, we're hanging out with this group. When you're in that level, the moment because the most important part is the follow-up. The moment you send an email or a text, you can bet you that they're going to respond. Because at the time when I was grabbing like 20, 30 business cards, every time I messaged them, they rarely responded because they feel like I'm like everybody else there. All I did was rush and grab their business card and jump to the next one. I never really built a connection. So that's three things I mentioned. Be with a purpose, take time, build relationships. And the main goal is understand what you want to get out of that relationships. That's the three things, the most important thing when starting or coming into a conference.
Awesome. Okay, so could you share some success stories or examples where collaboration with, I don't know, another professional or investors lead for a win for you, right?
Oh yeah. Well, this is I have so many, but there was one very very prominent because again, my goal, I have my personal goal as an investor, but first and foremost, I am the marketing manager for Cashflow Portal. So I have to fulfill my duties, right? So my duties is to bring in clients to use our product. So you don't mind if I explain what we do because it adds to the context so people won't be
Yes,
confused, right?
Go ahead.
So Cashflow Portal is we're a capital management software. So the general partners, when they have a deal, they host it in Cashflow Portal and send the link out to their passive investors. That way, all the passive investors do is go to the link and subscribe to the deal in less than 3 minutes. They're done, and everything can be tracked all in the portal. Obviously, there's other features that make us stand out, but the gist of Cashflow Portal is we are the middleman between the general partners and limited partners. That's why I attend these conferences. Okay, so my goal in Cashflow Portal is obviously to onboard general partners so they can use us. Now, I was at Jonathan, were you at Fund Launch Live, Bridger Pennington?
I was not.
Okay, that was in Miami. Anybody here who attended that event? No? Okay, that was a very, very big event. Anyway, so I was walking back from the event from the hotel, and I was walking with a journal partner, and I knew that this guy is big. He's a really big GP. I've bumped into him several times, and I knew he was using a different portal. But again, this is a long game. So every time I ran into him, I just, greetings. I was not very salesy. I wasn't very pushy. I just asked him like, how was his day? What is, those small talks. But still, I tried to build in a conversation where he'll remember me. Well, it just so happens we were walking back together. That was late in the night, and he says like, "Hey, I haven't eaten." I said, "Hey, let's grab some dinner." So we talked. I took the initiative, and here's the thing: when you're in a conversation, right? If there's anything that you take away in my talk, it's this: ask questions. You can answer when they ask you, but after that, ask a question again, because the one who controls the conversation is the one who asked the question, and people would resonate more. Actually, it's if you know Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the highest need of a human being is to be understood or heard or to be validated. Hence, that's why social media is so popular, right? Because everyone wants to speak their mind and say, I'm also important. So the need to feel important is a very, very strong need. How you do that is ask questions and only use 2 words, what or how questions. Don't ask close-ended questions, which is the yes or no. Like, what is your story? How did you get here? How did you find out? All those can't be answered by 1 word. They have to talk. And once you ask a question, just shut up. Let them talk. Don't butt in. Don't say, oh, I also had that. No, expound on it. Once they had the point, listen, so you can ask more questions about what they said. Anyway, so that's what I did. I always just ask what, how questions, and we got into it really, really deeply. Fast forward in the next day, because Perry was also in Fund Launch Live, he said, can we schedule a call because I want to migrate my all my portfolio to Cashflow Portal. Mind you, I never said, oh, by the way, I'm in Cashflow Portal. Are you interested? Let's schedule a demo. I never brought that up. all I did was be genuinely intent, curious about him, and just ask him about his goals. Like, how did you get to that point? Like where your success is. And obviously, for those who are new here, most experienced general partners, they were in your shoes, right? And our industry in multifamily is very, very people oriented. They will never get to their point without someone helping them get there. So they know what you're going through. So if you're just genuine, you're not just like stealing their time or their energy, right? You're curious. They can feel your drive, and you find a way to also add value to them. They will be more than happy to engage in your conversation and teach you what they know. So that was one of the best stories, because, and there's many more like that, where because they liked the interaction, without me even asking them to move, they just said, you know what, I like that. I'm sort of like the face of the company, right? And whoever people interact, and every one of you have your own brands here. I see like Yoshi and Jonathan, they have their logos. You are the face of that brand. They don't, if they see that logo, they're not gonna think of the yellow of that CF. They're going to think of, what was my interactions like with Jonathan? That's how your LPs will feel like. That's what other co-sponsors will feel like, right? They don't care about how fancy your logo, the color. They will think of who is the person that I always interact with this company, and what was my feeling. You know those think of it right now, like you must have that friends and family where every time they're there, they always say, hey, can I borrow money, or can you do me a favor? They're always a taker. They're never a giver. They never add value to your life. Now, think of like a family gathering and that person arrives. Do you feel excited when that person enters the room? Or do you feel like you want to like have them come beside you and eat beside you? Whereas think of someone who's always been very generous, not just by money, but who's always helped you out without asking anything in return. Don't you feel like you just want to do something for that person? Because human beings, we're innately reciprocal. That means if he does something good to me, I want to do something back. I want to respond in kind. Same thing with bad things. So I don't want to make this like magic and woo-saw something, right? Like giving out a positive energy really is very viral, and that's what will resonate. They will forget the specifics of the conversation, but they will never forget how they felt while they were talking to you. And that's what you want to do.
Exactly. So the energy is a big part, man. And I remember our first conversation. I remember that
Yeah,
I was talking a lot
that.
because you were asking me a lot of questions. So this works, guys. That's how I connect with Adrian. So all the methods, all the strategies that he mentioning right now actually works, because after that I was like, I wanted to know more about him and his business, right? So let's go. We have a Joshi. Joshi, you have a question for Adrian?
Wow.
Yeah, thank you for giving us all those pointers, Adrian. Because at first I would try to go to the conferences and just try to get as many contacts as I could, and then I'm like, what the heck? And it was horrible.
Yeah.
But I do want to ask a question that Willie put in the chat, which is based on Cash Flow Portal. Are you guys like Invest Next?
We are similar, yeah. So Invest Next, Syndication Pro, Juniper Square, all of those are we're like, think of like Honda, Toyota, and Nissan, right? First and foremost, they're a vehicle. So yes, that's our basic feature, but each one of those products stand out with a special something that makes them unique.
So what makes you guys stand out?
Okay. So a lot of people who migrated from different portals say two things that makes them, or what made them move to Casual Portal. One, it's our customer support. And the reason why we take pride of our customer support is because once your limited partners start investing with you, let's say they start the investing process, they go through the portal, they don't actually see InvestNext, they don't see Syndication Pro, they don't see Casual Portal. They see a product that is attached to your brand. So you remember this, that whatever process they took to go through investing is an extension of you. So if that process was complicated, they will not blame the portal, they will blame you. So if that feeling, or if it's too complicated, it's not self-explanatory, they had to call you, say, what do I click next? they will associate that with you, and the likelihood of them investing with you is very, very small, very, very low. It's bad. We understood that, and that's why we have a very, very quick response time. Within 1 to 3 hours, we get back to our customers. We actually create a specific WhatsApp for your team per deal, so that once you ask a question, we can immediately address it right then and there. The second most important reason what sets us apart is, it's one thing to be in tech and be in real estate syndication. What I mean by that is, our founder or CEO, Casual Portal, Jonathan, do you know Perry, by the way? I know he's in the Sumrock community as well.
Yes.
Okay, so Perry started out as a syndicator. His background is a software engineer. He used to work at Lyft as a lead software engineer. Once he started syndicating, he was using another product, and then he was like, "Man, this is so clunky, and the steps or what we need out of the product is actually so simple." So using his software background, he created Casual Portal. And then on his next deal, his LP said, "Wait a minute, whatever we used this deal was way better and easier than the previous deal." So what I'm saying is, it's one thing to be in tech creating a product for real estate investors versus a real estate investor who is in tech and it created a product. So I tell people, we don't create a feature that is useless. We know what it feels like to be an LP. We know the GPs. So all our features are geared to optimizing the experience of both parties. Whereas I think there's a lot of products there where they make the GP and LP test. They don't even know if it's going to work or if it's actually streamlining the process. And for us, we have close connections with all the GPs. We know what it feels like to be a GP. So any feature we push out is very, very essential.
That was really good, really good. So you mentioned earlier that I know that you are an active investor and also you are a passive investor. So, and also you are a marketing manager in the Cashflow Portal company. How do you balance these three roles, and what do you see from the advantages of everything, or how do you approach those?
Yeah, great question. Anyone here, by just show of hands, who is wanting to be a general partner? Who wants to be a GP? Okay, so that's majority of people. Don't you know that you're all marketers? As a general partner, you're a marketer. Because I tell this to prospective LPs when they approach me, who do I reach out to a GP? I tell them, don't underwrite the deal, underwrite the operator. Because I was an acquisition guy. I underwrote deals. I know what to do on the spreadsheet to make the deal look good. But it's one thing to put it on paper, and it's another thing to apply it in time and space. It is an application of the business plan is where you make the money. But it's only in the competence or skill level of the operators that will make that will actually apply whatever you put on the paper. So if you can underwrite the deal, you can make any number, raise rents, blah, blah, blah. But if they can't even do it, then that's a problem. And the great thing about as a marketing manager and learning in the space, it's actually twofold. That means I'm learning more about general partners. I have to get to know them, right? And that's always my question. I always wanted to know the people. The track record is simple. You can, whatever, it's black and white, right? You either close a deal or not. You already have X amount of units or not. But how do you know someone's trustworthy? How do you know someone is going to be open in communications, or who would respond immediately when you have questions? Those are the things that you won't know right away. And it's not in the OM. No one's going to put that in their Zoom call. But those are the most important questions you need to know. So how do I balance it? It's actually, it touches on everything, regardless of what I do, because whatever I do as a marketing manager or as a general partner and LP is getting to know people, finding people who I know, like, and trust. And then I can already corroborate, because I meet so many people. I'm just going to remember who is the common denominator. Like, oh, do you know this person too? How was your experience like? Or especially if I know, like, they're in Dallas, they're, in Phoenix. And I will remember, oh, who else do I know is in that area? And then I will say, hey, do you happen to know this person? Especially if they are like a player in the space. This is a very small community. People will know someone if you're actively in the game or in investing.
Love it, love it, love it. And I see that Helen raised her hand. And Helen, do you have a question for Adrian? Thank you for being here. Helen is our partner, by the way.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Adrian. Thank you so much for being here and helping us understand a little bit more. This is so useful. Thank you so much. Well, my question is about when we're going to the events, there is a lot of people that they go for the first time and they see all the amount of people and they feel intimidating, like, oh my God, how can I start the conversation? I'm feeling so nervous. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
How can you help us in that for the person that is a new?
That's probably the best question, right? Everyone was probably aching, like, I need to know, I want to know the answer to this question. Okay. So just gentlemen, I'm just speaking to the gentleman here, okay? In the call, I'm speaking to the gentleman. I'm sure that maybe in high school or when you're a kid or like maybe even until now, you've gone to bars or tried to approach a girl, yes? Anyone here has approached a girl? Now, there's a 50-50 chance that you will get rejected. Either she's just not interested, or yeah, she's busy, or she just wants to have fun that evening in a bar, in a club, whatever, right? Now, in a conference, there is a 0% chance that you will get rejected because people go there to network. So why are you afraid to approach anyone? Actually, they're begging for someone to approach them because, like you, they're probably also shy. When I got that in my mind, there's a 0% failure rate. Are you kidding me? No one's gonna turn me down and say, no, I don't want to talk to you, or like, you're a loser, step away. Like, I just want to have fun. No one is gonna reject you, not unless they're busy or they're actively doing something. But the chances are high that they're actually going to engage in the conversation. Now, the question Helen asked is, what is the first few conversation? Now, think of this: Ford, FORD, family, occupation, recreation, and dream. Those are the 4 things that you can talk about. Like if you have, like, you're blanking, right? So the first couple of ones, like, hi, by the way, or if they're in the middle conversation, hi, do you mind if I hop into your conversation? Introduce yourself, be formal, and get to know their names, right? If they're already in the middle conversation, you can just ask, like, or you can overhear the conversation or ask them, like, hey, what you guys talking about? Or if the person is just by themselves, that's the best one, because they're probably thinking, I wish someone's going to talk to me because I'm just here by myself. So those are actually the easiest ones to approach. So if you approach them like, hi, introduce yourself, the first thing I always ask, where are you from? And then the second question I ask is, how did you hear about this event? And then from there, they're going to talk, right? Again, very, very important. Listen to what they're saying, because they're going to give you facts about something and you can ask again about that. Now, the Ford is when they said everything and you have nothing to talk about. So talk about, hey, do you have family in the area? Like, are you married or something like that, right? And then occupation. What do you do, by the way? Right? How long have you been in that job? Recreation. So outside of real estate, what do you do for fun? These questions are relationship building. The worst thing you can do is, how many deals have you done? That is very transactional. No one, people hates that kind of question, right? Like, how long have you been in this space? Listen, this is not a job interview. You want to build a connection. You want them to remember you. If you ask that immediately, they're just gonna say this person that's a taker, not a giver. So, and yeah, last is dream. Like, hey, what do you want to get out of this, or what do you want to get out of real estate? So it's usually a great one, and they're gonna expound. That's gonna be like a long conversation. First of all, just keep talking, and then you can just keep digging deeper into details. So that's a simple tip that I can share. Again, guys and girls, the chances are very low that they will reject you. So just approach them.
Awesome, man. No, and if you guys are missing those points, so remember that. So we're recording this call. This call is going to be in Spotify and YouTube. So you guys need to go and watch it again, because this is amazing. I'm having a lot of fun right now. Okay. So let's go, Emmer. How are you doing, my friend?
Good to see you, Jonathan. I'm doing great, man. How about yourself?
Awesome,
Is it Adrian?
Yes.
How do you say your last name, by the way, man?
Fajardo. Yes.
Fajardo, nice to meet you, man. Thank you so much for hopping on this call. I got 2 questions for you. The first question is, how do we redirect the women from the bar and the clubs to the networking events so that we can get back to that 0%, right? That's the biggest question, right? And then so we're gonna crack the formula for that. My second question is that someone had said in the chat, don't, yeah, back to your point, don't underwrite the deal, underwrite the operators. So obviously the numbers are the numbers, if you do it correctly, but is it more so like, your opinion is it a little bit of finessing? Is it just how you present the numbers and how methodical you are? And when you mention applying it to real life and in the future and the benefits, like, would you mind walking me through an example of that, you know?
Yeah, in the bar you just have to shoot your shot, right? It's just a numbers game. But so when I said that, you have to underwrite the operators, not the deal. I'm talking about that in a standpoint of a limited partner. So if you're a limited partner and you're trying to passively invest into or looking for a general partnership team, people focus on the deal. Oh, 2x multiple. Wow, 18% IRR. Anyone can put that on a paper. What I'm saying is now look into the track record, the team of the general partner, right? Because whatever they put, it's either being conservative or they're being aggressive. But once you get to know their personality, you can actually get a feel of how did they see this project. And you can see if it's crazy. If you get to know the person, you can even see the correlation of the fees. If you see a general partnership team where they really are in line with the LPs, I've seen instances where they waive the fees because they promise an LP a certain return. That's how, because they're looking for deals number 2, 3, and 4. That's a smart GP. They're not being greedy that I just want to get paid on this deal. I know a GP right now. I'm actually, when I heard this story, I'm actually invested in their deal because they did the very same thing where they basically made no money in that deal just to make the LPs whole, because they said we will deliver you this. They care about their word and their reputation and their partnership with the LP so that in future deals they will still invest with them. So Amir, you said how do I translate that to other aspects in life, right?
Other aspects, but not only that, but actually that's a good point too. That wasn't my initial question, but great point. But whenever you're pitching this, the numbers and to your investor and explaining it to them from numbers, because hell, even some of the brokers that we get our T12s and OMs and rent rolls for, they don't know what the hell they're doing with some of the T12s and rent rolls. They get kind of messy. So when I understand the cleaning up portion, but whenever explaining it to them and being able to be methodical whenever you respond to their questions, because obviously the numbers are numbers, but they have a lot of questions. Why is it this way, that way? And so.
Yeah, and there's really no excuse for competence, right? That's the difference between hard skill and soft skill. So yes, you do have to know what you're doing and know what you're saying. You know the numbers, the deal back and forth. The reason why I don't really that is a given. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. Everyone should knows how to underwrite, knows the business plan, knows what the effects of debt and everything. But the reason why I didn't emphasize on that, because those can be learned. You can take your time in the day and practice underwriting, right? But the thing about personality or getting to know people, those take time. And even then, if you don't, it's Alex Hormozi says it is frequency and time, right? To learn faster, do multiple things in a shorter period of time. Because if you can say I underwrite one deal, you can do it one a month or one a week. If you do it shorter in period of time, like one a day, then you're getting faster, you're getting better. Same thing with personality. Like, how do I know how to talk to people? How do I know the right questions? Because I've talked to a lot of people. I know now what to say. I know the hints where this person is probably, I wouldn't say shady, but I will probably not do a deal with this person. But you have to expose that enough where you get to know. And that is not really black and white. You really have to just go through it. But the learning of the thing, there's so many resources out there, books, YouTube videos, and also you can leverage someone's skill. So you can say, hey, if you met the right person, someone who's great with numbers, you can shorten your learning curve by saying, you know what, I'm a people person. I know you're great with numbers. Can you help me, walk me through how did you come up with this? I can do the capital raising. Now you're adding value to each other's lives. Again, meeting, networking is so vital, because where you're short at, you can always replace that with a person.
Adrian, I was going to mention one more point. That was great, but instead of me, like what I would do is instead of asking, I would say, hey, we can provide each other value by this is this to each other. One with the speaking skills, right? Being able to speak and pitch it. The other one did numbers. Let's see how we can benefit ourselves. It's kind of like the same way, you know, back to the girl experience. Do you ask a girl for a number, or do you say, hey, look, I'm gonna put my number in, we're going on a date Saturday night? That's confidence.
Yeah.
And it's beta and alpha. It's the difference between confidence and it's just like, it's just already like pre-assuming psychologically in their mind that we're already making this happen, right?
Okay.
So,
So-
I'm that's just what I like to do. So
Yeah. Okay. So I'm a bigger picture kind of guy, right?
Okay.
I know the end goal, and then I work my steps backward. So I know my why, then I can
Okay.
answer the how questions. So the same example with the casual portal, right? Like I know why I'm there. So now I need to know the steps, the asking the great questions. So in your analogy about the bar, if I approach a girl and I say, hey, listen, I saw you and I was attracted to you. This is not because of a fling, but I actually want to get to know you more. So would you be open to, you know, having somewhere? Wow, this is like a dating website.
this is too
But
much.
my intent was very clear. I didn't just say the end goal was not just to get the number. I said I want to develop this further. It's the very same thing when you network and you meet with people. If you're there, you don't know what you're doing or what was the main reason for starting the conversation. Or the worst thing is you just want to talk the conversation because you're not doing anything at all. That is, you're wasting that person's time, and they will feel that as well. But if I can't emphasize enough knowing why you're going there, because every time you speak to a person, they will know what is it. Because you're gonna ask, how do I add value to you? By the way, because you took inventory of what you have, you know what to do, what you can provide, right? Or if he says like, hey, this is my pain point. Like, wait a minute, I know someone who's great at that. Do you know that putting people together is as if you solve their problem? Like, hey, let me put you in contact with this guy. He's great at it. That person will see you in their mind as you solve the problem. Whereas he's still going to talk to the person you're going to introduce him with because, you know, he's still got to get the answer. But in his mind, you still add so much value. So I'll make the introduction. So you put an email and CC the person. He will see you in light as the same person who gives the answer.
Yeah.
It's a great point, actually. Thank you for sharing that. It's
Well,
amazing.
that was an amazing question, Amber. Amen.
Yeah.
Thank you. I
course.
see Helen. Helen, do you have any other questions for Adrian?
No dating questions, please.
Yes.
Yeah, well, just another quick question is, I know you have mentioned these multifamily events to go and meet people, and you know you're going to find LPs and GPs, but at the same time, I don't know how to. Do you go to other events and other kind of events where you can find maybe people who doesn't know about real estate, but then you can bring them this opportunity of multifamily?
Yeah, that's actually so there it's twofold, right? Excuse me. depending on the audience, because we are thinking of doing like a crypto conference. We did one where it's like medical or it's like a medical conference, but it's still tied to financing. That's what they were doing. Because what you're looking for is the problem, or it's not a problem, but it's a challenge of our space is the barrier to entry to invest is pretty high. Not a lot of people have $50,000 just sitting there. Not emergency fund, not college tuition or my kids' college fund, but deployable capital. Not a lot of people have those kinds of money. So you need to rub shoulders with people who are those, where they just have money sitting somewhere there, maybe in a 401k or stocks, crypto. Those are the kinds of people you want to target. So you work backwards and seeing like what conferences have those kinds of people are congregated. Now the slight challenge to that is when people are confused, they usually say no. Now, syndication has a lot of moving parts, right? It's not like flipping a house. The concept is simple. You buy something distressed at a discount, you fix it up, sell it for the market value. Syndication has a lot of, people plus parts or steps to go, plus the time is longer. So you would have to, this is a long game. So you would have to talk to them, create a relationship to know, because I've spoken to people like that, and when they see the returns of syndication, they think it's a scam because it's too good to be true. It's so great. I'm like, what kind of asset does that? And I'm like, no, this is actually real. It's happening. So that's the downfall of bringing people an outsider. Whereas people who are already in the space, I call them professional LPs, they won't ask too many questions. Well, they still ask questions, but it's in line. You don't want to spend you're not going to spend too much time with this person. They'll either invest with you or not, and that's great, because I know for most of you, if you're starting out, you do need capital, right, or investors to invest with you, but you have to put a value of your time and effort. If this LP asks so many questions, just grilling you, like it's not worth your peace of mind. Really, is that $50,000 paycheck worth it? That's how you outweigh it too. I hope that answered the question, Alan.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, awesome. Thank you. I love this. Let's go. We have Lily. Lily, are you there? Do you have a question for Adrian? Let me see.
Yes, I'm in this.
We cannot hear you, Lily. Yeah, we cannot hear you.
Did you just put in the chat?
Yes. Okay, she just posted in the chat. So feel free to speak any moment to see we can hear you, but let's go to Gabriel. Hi, Gabriel, how are you? Welcome.
Hey, Adrian.
Hi,
You
Gabrielle.
you seriously on fire. Thank you so much. I really, I can't even stop taking notes. How did you become such an effective and confident communicator?
Oh, that's a very good question. And to be honest, I don't even know that. Let me attempt to actually give the answer, right? Because shameless plug, we have a YouTube channel, and if you watch the very, very first video, you will see I'm actually a very introverted guy. I'm very shy. If you go to my Instagram, there's maybe I can count the photos with my two hands, maybe, or less, right? Because I don't like taking selfies. I don't want to be in the camera. How did I become very effective at speaking? Now, I think when you watch following videos, like the most recent videos, you can see now that my personality is coming out. I'm a very happy person. I'm always smiling. I'm always positive, right? Now, you will know where you're at the point where you can directly communicate what's your intention, not by words, because it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So what's backing up that word is the emotion. The only way that there's a clear path between your words and emotion is when you're not too much in your head, because your subconscious mind is giving out that emotion. If you're too worried about what this person thinks about you, or what do I say next, that is when you feel like you're robotic, because you're trying to think of too many things, so your body's not in its natural state. And being in making that YouTube videos allowed me actually to speak freely. So when you hear me speak in our topic tonight, it's not just I'm just saying these words. You feel like I see people laughing and then like nodding their head, because it's a transference of feeling. I am in a great mood talking with you all of here. So when I speak, you also feel that. So it's the very same reason where, like guy speaks to a girl for the first time. Okay, I know we didn't say about dating, but it's really, it's just human interaction, right? That's the basics, right? If you see someone who's never spoken to a girl, you see that you feel the nervousness in their voice, right? Because they're not in their natural state. That's not their real personality. They're thinking too much. That's the very thing that you need to overcome when you attend network, conferences or meetups. You want to be in your natural state, and there's no way around it, but only through it. And you only get to do that by having more and more conversations. These techniques that I'm sharing with you, it took me a while to understand this, and I had to learn the hard way, right? But hopefully this will shorten your learning curve. When you speak to people, you can have topics and hopefully not think too much, or like have my voice in your head. So Gabrielle, I hope that helps. It really is practice and exposure to whatever it is. It's not even just speaking, right? Playing sports, cooking, exposure to it will help you improve.
Love it. That was a great answer. So yeah, I see Gabrielle. She was saying yes with the head, so it's good. I see that Lily's still kind of working out for the audio. So, but we have Jimmy Liu. How are you doing, man? Do you have a question?
Yes, Jonathan, thanks. Hey, Adrian, how's it going?
Hi,
Good to
how
see
are you
you.
doing?
Good to see you again. Definitely love to understand. Well, obviously, we talked about networking in the conference and face to face. Now, a lot of people after they get the contacts of the people they in the networking events, they don't know what to do.
Yes.
In order to lead to the effective conversation, it's just not the start, but also all the way to, let's say you close a deal or you working partner out with that person, right? What is your following up process
Yeah,
with
and
the context?
that's actually a really, really important question, because follow up is by far the most important thing. Um, it's the most important, but it's also I would say the easiest, because you already got the hump. You did the hard part about approaching the person. And a lot of the people here, I have not met you personally. So it is harder to build a connection when it starts out digitally. But when you've created that connection face to face, the supplemental calls is actually not that hard anymore. It's way easier, because I remember when I said they will forget the conversation, but they will not forget the feeling they felt while they were speaking to you. So what I do is, back when I said you have to be intentional. So let's say I need a simple one, so everyone here can relate. I need a capital raiser. I'm not great at capital raising. So I need people who can easily raise capital. That is my main goal going to the conference. Now, I can narrow it down saying, I need a capital raiser in Dallas, because that's where I live. So now I can start meeting people, finding capital raisers in Texas. Now, once I meet one or two, because one, maybe he's already have a team in place and they're not taking any more partnerships, right? So you see, you don't want to burn that bridge, because there's always a potential in the future. Never burn bridges. Leave a good impression. So let's say I did meet someone. I will put a note immediately that evening that I can drop the ball on anything, but this is the one contact that I will follow up. And the way to follow up to make them rekindle the flame per se is your first email should be something that you talked about. That will instantly blow their mind, because it tells them that you were listening and that conversation meant something. Because people, guess what happens after a conference? Like these brokers, they will say, great meeting you at this conference, looking to reconnect. It's so generic. That means it's mass send. It doesn't make them feel special. But when your email highlighted something that's only unique to both of you, he will respond to that email over everybody else, he or she, because you've identified them. You said you're special. You're not like anybody I met there. I brought in something that you and I had. So that's why it's very important. Either you have to have a system where either in the end of the night, you either write it down on a card. If they give you a business card, write something like a quick note. What I do, I either use Asana or Notion. It's digital. You can have it on your phone. Just write quick talking points, just bullet, really, really, really quick about this person, so you will not forget. And what I do is I either create a reoccurring frequency schedule about this person. So let's say I followed up with this person on Tuesday. The next one will be 2 weeks. And then after that, the next one will be a month, because you also don't want to be too, I call these people like takers. You only need something from this person, right? But once you do maybe like once every 3 months, and especially if the follow-up is of content, there's some meat there. That means there was an intent to the follow-up. And again, if you did your job on the first face-to-face interaction, everything else after that is easy. You will feel like it's a struggle, like, because you're building a relationship out of thin air in digital space. That's even harder, right? But when you did it already early on in the face-to-face, you're just actually like, hey, what are you doing this weekend? Or even that kind of question has more weight when you have a connection with that person. So yes, definitely a follow-up is very, very important. But the thing is, the follow-up can be very tedious if you come into saying I will get 20 business cards, because it's so hard to emotionally connect with someone and have that strong connection for all 20. If you're able to do that, definitely I'm not setting a limiting belief, but come with an intent, get 2-3 great contacts, because that is a long game. Not immediately the person will say, hey, let's do a deal together, because that's also scary, right? Like, wait a minute, we might have shared a couple of beers, but let's talk about something here a bit more, right? But from then on, at least you built a solid base. So great question, Jimmy. Again, we're in an instant gratification stage, and people treat it like it's almost like you can buy relationship in Amazon, like 2-day shipping. No, relationships are one of those things where you really do have to take time. But those that does take time, they come so fruition that like Jonathan, we spoke that one night, and we keep running to each other in a conference, but every time we see each other, it's like you light up the room, because the feeling that you remember with this person was so happy. It's not like you just glance this person and then you don't even talk. I see Jonathan, I just approach him like, hey, I actually have to grab him. So that kind of interaction.
Awesome. No, thank you. That was a great question, Jimmy. You read my mind, man. That was that was my question about follow-up. Love it. I see that Joshi, you had your hand up. Do you have a question?
Yes, so Lily posted, sorry guys, my voice from all this networking this weekend, it's almost gone. But Lily asked a question, she put, but my question is about how to ask questions that is very, Jonathan,
Wait, what? What's the question?
Oh, I got it. I got it. Yeah, I got you. She said her question is about what or how. Oh, someone's writing on the bottom, and then okay, so what or how to ask questions that are clear and very informative for a valuable conversation. So like specific things that maybe you say or talk about.
Okay. So again, be clear. If you know remember when I said that the one who asks the questions controls the conversation, right? So let's say you meet this person, and then you do never start this transactional questions like real estate topic right away. You start, just breaking the ice, set the stage. But then since you're asking the question, let's say, what do you do? What do you do for work? And then let's say, whatever they ask. Your follow-up question is, so how are you doing that with real estate? Or how did you find the time to do real estate? So now you brought in the topic of real estate, not really asking their experience, but now you just wanted to bring up the topic of real estate. And then once they're explaining what they do in real estate, what do you like about real estate? What do you don't like? Mind you, I never really said like, what is their specific skill? Because again, I guess the best way to say it is either you're asking left brain, right brain question, either something that's analytical or something that is, yes, emotional in a sense, but you're asking for their opinion, right? It's not like wait, what is the cap rate of this market? That can be easily Googled. That is something that I can just find out or something. But I can ask them, what do you like about that market? It has more weight to it because they're now applying either emotion or maybe a background, like they grew up there for some reason. So Lily, to answer your question just fast is, you will know how to ask the right question if you know what you want or you know their pain point. Because if they got there like, hey, I got to this conference because I'm new or I'm starting out. And then you can ask, how did you discover real estate, or how does real estate help you reach your goals? So knowing what you want and knowing what they either want or don't want, then, ask questions related to that.
Love it. Okay, we're at the top of the hour, guys. So I see that we don't have more questions right now. And after this, you guys stay there. We're going to our breakout rooms, but really quick, Adrian, because you mentioned earlier about you're using, YouTube and some other platforms. So So in this role, how do you leverage like digital platforms and also social media for networking and building your personal brand in this business?
Yeah, the quick and easy answer is give value. Don't ask anything. Don't say I'm here. Look at me. I'm at a conference. Because when you're about to post something, ask yourself, what will the viewer gain from seeing this? Ask that question. What will they? How will that better their life? Either am I gonna make them laugh? Am I gonna teach them something? If it doesn't answer that, you rethink it, right? Because how do I leverage my social media? It is, I want people to see that when they see my face on something like my YouTube videos or my posts, they will know that it's something worth reading, because they will gain something. They're not just gonna scroll. You want to leave that impression with everyone you meet, either not just in social but in real life, because social media is just a sounding board of who you really are. It's gonna amplify your personality, and again, nothing is to waste if you know how to use it properly. For example, when I make YouTube videos, one, it builds my confidence. Two, it's like copywriting. I learn how to word something so well, not so I can name it this way, which is just very bland, or I can just add 2-3 words or mix it up together. It has a bigger, deeper impact because I just think of it very carefully, because I script all my videos. So whatever you do, it's not a waste of time because it contributes to the overall goal. It's only a waste of time if you don't know why you're doing the thing. Hence, going to conferences, right? If it's just because it's popular, it's sort of a waste.
Good. That was amazing. And you guys hear the guy, Adrian, focus in bring value, provide value to the people. So, and if you guys like this call, let's provide some value. So probably a lot of you guys remember me because I invite you to these calls and we have a great speaker. So that's a way that I bring in value to you. So you guys do the exactly same thing, so we can keep bringing that community and people will remember you because you actually invite them to an amazing call. So let's do that, guys. Let's do that. Let's start building our business about give value to the people. Let's invite people to these calls. It's about leveraging each other, right? So we bring the speakers, you bring value. So what do you think about this, Adrian?
Oh wow, yeah, this is great. The chat is going so fast that I couldn't even read, and I had to also answer the questions. But I love it. Very, very engaging. This is one of the fewest groups that actually in the middle of a call they ask questions. So I love it. Like, great questions too. Every single one of them. Like, I thought this is going to be hard for me to think of topics, but all of you were guiding me with topics, and all I had to do really is answer. So thank you for having me, Jonathan. This is an excellent community. And if there's any way that I can help anyone, I'm not the best at it, but I can either point you to the direction or give you an answer.
Awesome, man. It seems like people just got excited about your last comment because we got a couple more people. Do you have a couple more minutes, man?
Yeah.
Let's go really quick. Okay, Lydia, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Hi, Adrian. Nice to meet you.
Hi.
Great info. Quick question. When you start going to this conference, what tip do you give to people that are starting out to, get out there and to target, and you don't know anybody? How do you target people, and how do you, you have to start approaching people randomly. So how do you try to get out of a conversation to try to get to somebody that will add value, or that, you can work on building a relationship with?
Yeah. You don't know what you don't know, right? And that's actually, that is one of the most unique questions, because there are times where you have to just put yourself out there, and you don't know what it's going to turn out to. And it's one of those where, okay, I'm in real estate now, but the best thing you could have done is go to a conference, because again, this industry is a very people oriented. The best lesson I learned is that it's not really about the deal, the dollars. reputation. Really, it really is people. Because the moment you meet them, you just unlock your limits just opened up. There's no more limits, right? Because if you say, oh wow, this is a deal where I have to raise $100 million. It's $100 million raise, right? So if it's 60% LTV, so it's right at what 240 overall. So for you it is impossible, but if you know enough people who can raise that, then it's now possible. So understand that concept. Don't think it's about you. Like all your limitations, like I my family, my friends, I'm not surrounded with rich circle. That's okay, because that can easily be solved. If you understand the grasp that I just need to meet the right people, I can accomplish anything. Now, when you're new, yes, there's no value, and there's also no shame to say like, hey, I'm just starting out. And like I said, people who are especially far ahead, they were in your shoes at one point, right? Just ask I like this question when you were new. What is your best advice for someone in my position? Or you can word it this way: if you were starting out today, what would you do? Right? You're not, the worst thing you can do is immediately just needing their balance sheet or their reputation or their experience, because you couldn't add value. But you can add value by just being humble, and then letting them share me your story. Like, again, these people, they've accomplished enough, but they need a sounding board to share their accomplishments. You're going to give them that by just tell me your story. How did you get to where you're from? Not in a sense where you just need to learn something, where you're gaining something. You want to hear from them. Again, being genuine is so it's unbeatable by being genuine. But how do I say your name? Ligia? Ligia. Okay. So yes, don't let that stop you. Because again, in this space, you need to know people. You can accomplish more by having the right people on your corner. But also understand what are your limitations, what your pitfall. There's so many things out there that you can help you identify that. Books, podcasts, asking Jonathan.
Yeah. Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's go, Rigo. Welcome, man.
Hi, thank you, Adrian, for sharing, your experience and everything that you've been telling us. One question I had is, whenever you're at a networking conference and there's a group of individuals talking, what's the best way that you found to approach them without without seeming like awkward, or having it like very, just awkward in general?
Yeah, it's definitely one of like stage 2 of skill set that I had to learn, because the way you do it is confidence. The worst thing you could do is like slowly just approaching them and then being in their like peripheral side of view until they see you. That is the worst way to do it. But if you can come there with confidence, saying like, hey, good evening, gentlemen. Do you mind if I jump into your conversation? I'm and introduce yourself, right? You will feel it's less awkward if you approach it that way, politely cutting there, like, hey, excuse me, do you mind if I join your conversation? So immediately just cut and then introduce yourself. Again, I've been into many of those where I've been in the circle and people just jump in. I rarely see, it's never happened where someone says, you know what, this is a closed conversation, you're not invited. That has never happened. So as long as you make it less awkward by showing confidence, you're there with a purpose, they will engage with you. If you're still starting out, you want to build up your confidence by just first looking at people who are not in a conversation, right? If they're just by themselves. Or a second step after that is if the person in the circle is someone you know. That's an easier one too, right? So you engage that person and then introduce yourself. Like, hey, how are you doing? It's been a while. And oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut your conversation. I'm Rigo, by the way. No.
Okay.
And then have them, hey, continue. I'll let me jump in when I can. So that is step 1 and step 2. Now doing the cold and the group right away, okay, that will take time to develop. It's possible. Again, even though if you do it awkwardly, the chances of them kicking you out is 0, especially if you're just genuine, right?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Love it, love it. And it just takes, I think it takes practice too, right, Adrian, to get a little
Yep.
bit more comfortable to get into a conversation randomly. So, but yeah, no, again, guys, so I see still 41 people. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. We have a lot of fun. Remember that we're doing this podcast every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So every week we have amazing speakers like Adrian. And if you guys had fun tonight, make sure that you just share the group, invite people for the next week call, because that's a way that you are going to be providing value for everybody. Stay there, guys, for the breakout rooms. I'm just going to stop the recording. So thank you guys for being here. It was amazing. I'll see you guys next week.